That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Forgot about that. Hi everyone, welcome to a special episode of Comic Reviews for the free Comic Book Day special. Get the angle all weird because I got sunlight coming in from the window since I don't normally do this during the day, and so I didn't want to be like Two-Face. Anyway, plenty of stuff to talk about. I started this much later than I expected to because I woke up kind of early this morning and I spent a lot of time at the shops. I went and had lunch with my mom since I was on that end of town, and I had so many books I had to read that I started feeling like a bit drowsy, a bit sleepy as I was going through, so I had to take a break in the middle and take a nap. Nice Saturday nap, felt really good. But you're probably not all that interested in that. But I've got just tons of books to talk about tonight, and before I get into all that, I want to post my reminder that I want to do every episode of Comic Reviews for the Comic Book Club. For those of you that don't know what the Comic Book Club is, it is a monthly series where we discuss a graphic novel that you, the viewers, vote on. And who is we? The we is anyone who wants to join. As long as you have a legal copy of the book we're talking about, you can join the episode of the Comic Book Club. All you need is a microphone, pair of headphones, a webcam is preferred, and you can jump in on the Comic Book Club and we will talk about this book. You need a legal copy. Again, that's something you'd get either in your local comic shop, Amazon, Comixology, plenty of places to find comics, obviously. Get it from your local library. I don't care. Just make sure you have a legal copy of it. And we'll discuss it. So the next episode of the Comic Book Club is on Green Lantern Earth 1, Volume 1. And we'll be broadcasting that Saturday, May 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see plenty of people there. Hope it's an exciting episode. But yeah, that's my reminder bit. I got a couple people here live. Hi, Philip Kelton. Hi, Zorro Fan Productions. All right. Well, that'll do it for all the preamble, I think. I'm just going to close something here, and I lost my thing. And I'm going to go ahead and get into all the free Comic Book Day special stuff that I've got today. So, before I get... now I'll save that for later. Let's go ahead and talk about the books I'll be discussing today. Free comic books I picked up were Howard Lovecraft, The Big Book of Summer Fun, Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, The Amazing Spider-Man, Invasion, Disney Princess, Star Wars Adventures, Doctor Who, The Tick, and a old Marvel What If Ghost Rider, Spider-Woman, Captain Marvel were villains. So yeah, plenty of stuff to get into. The last one seems a bit odd. I promise there's a reason it is there. Also from the shop today, I picked up the first volume in Grant Morrison's new X-Men series that he did for Marvel. E is for Extinction. Because I like to try to buy something when I go to the comic shop. Since I went to multiple shops, I bought multiple things. I'll talk about the other thing I got, which you can see just the corner of right here, later on in the show once I get through all the books. But expect that on an episode of Trade Talk, or maybe even in a future voting option for the next episode of Comic Book Club. Anyway, that'll do it for all that. Let's go ahead and get into the books I got. So the first thing is Howard Lovecraft. And this also has a backup, which is Steam Engines of Oz. You'll have to forgive me for looking over there, but I don't have any kind of way to see myself behind the camera. So this I just kind of bought because I quite like Lovecraftian horror stuff. And I don't know, it obviously looks like it's more for kids, which I think is good to be publishing on Free Comic Book Day. Get kids into it and stuff, but I could maybe get a click, or I could get a interest out of it, or maybe it'd get me into a series. Turns out it's not for a comic series. which is just one of the many things that has me scratch my head and kind of not really enjoying this all that much. This is, I guess, an advertisement for a series of probably direct-to-DVD animated films. They're CG animated films that go direct-to-DVD. And, like, I'm sure the films are fine, but I find advertising them through a comic book to be a very odd decision. Looks like it's maybe the same way for Steam Engines of Oz, because they're advertising the cast list there. Ron Perlman, William Shatner. So anyway, this just summarizes the first two animated films and gets you, I guess, hype for the third animated film, which will be something or other. I don't even know what the name of the next animated movie will be. Not particularly interested in watching any of those, to be honest, just from the showing in this. I do think it's good for kids to have, like, a more horror background or something horror to be into. It just provides a way to cope and deal with things. Horror is a particular method of art that is worthwhile. So I don't know, maybe the movies do a better job than this comic, but it's just like, okay, Howard Lovecraft gets taken to the sanitarium where his father's staying by his mother. He gets his father's journals and goes adventuring in a Lovecraftian horror city of Ryleth, or Ryleth, however you say it, and defeats the bad guys from releasing Cthulhu, the Destroyer. And then he kind of does it all over again. It's pretty much the same story. My thing with this, Howard Lovecraft is a young H.P. Lovecraft. And as much as I like Lovecraft's writing, I don't like the idea of glorifying the person. This always gets into an interesting debate of art versus the artist and all that stuff, and H.P. Lovecraft was certainly not completely removable from his art. As much as I enjoy the story Shadow over Innsmouth as a horror story, it's a story about his views of interracial breeding. H.P. Lovecraft was an unapologetic racist. And so the idea of making a cutesy kid version of H.P. Lovecraft to be the hero it's kind of where I start to draw a line somewhere. So this isn't something I'd really recommend to people, though the idea of a Lovecraft for kids I don't mind. Just not particularly centered around H.P. Lovecraft himself, and not a comic book. Like, do a movie fine, do a comic book fine. Don't do a comic book of the movie to sell your movie. I thought that was really weird. Also, weird little trend here. They don't tell you the names of the writer or artist on this in either story. I thought that was particularly odd. Steam Engines of Oz looked kind of interesting as well. Wherein they're in just a giant area where they keep prisoners to run a giant machine. I don't know. Just look kind of cool, kind of weird. Overall, this one, like, if you're watching this, you probably didn't go to Free Comic Book Day, and if you were watching this after the fact and you did go to Free Comic Book Day, you can't go back and pick stuff up. But this wouldn't be something generally I'd recommend. Alright, let's go ahead and go on to The Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes by Jason Aaron. This also has a backup that's teasing what, how do you say his name? I always fuck it up. Ta-Nehisi, I think is how his name's pronounced. Ta-Nehisi Coates' Captain America. He's taking over Captain America in the near future. From Mark Waid, and so this gives you a tease of what his story is going to be like. Do I have anyone here that read Avengers #1 since that came out this week. I'm curious if this ends at the same spot or not, or if this is like half the story. That being said, it did get me interested in what Avengers #1 is, and I might pick that up next week. It's kind of cool, just like T'Challa's summoned by Odin to Asgard and told about a Celestial that Odin and the Avengers of 1 million BC defeated. And how, that Celestial and is coming back. The Earth is under threat again. We get like a whole thing of Odin and Loki interacting, which is pretty cool. I quite enjoyed that. And Loki like now has control of a Celestial, which is just cool. I'm really interested to see where that goes. That does make me want to read more. And so this is the Avengers team that we got. We got Cap, Thor, T'Challa, Tony, Ghost Rider, She-Hulk, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel. That's kind of cool. I don't know. I'm certainly interested. It does pique my interest, even though I'm not much of a Marvel guy, especially like the team stuff. So I'm am cautiously optimistic. I might pick up the first issue next week. And then we have the Captain America story, which centers around a set of protesters squaring off in the DC National Mall, some of them pro-Hydra, and others clearly not. And this all is kind of contained around the narrative device of someone who's very upset with the direction the country has taken, very upset with Captain America. What does he even stand for? He's a captain of nothing. And there seems to be some kind of like cloning program that's like cloning a single soldier that died in combat for the U.S. and sending him off to try to kill civilians in America. And Cap's fighting him. That's the preview we get. I'm certainly interested. I didn't like Coates' Black Panther because of the tone he struck with it, but this Captain America is a tone I can get behind much more. Also, Alex Ross will be doing the covers, and wow, that looks good. So yeah, I am certainly interested in that. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to The Amazing Spider-Man, written by Nick Spencer. I was just talking about Captain America, and Philip Kelton's in the live comments saying, is Steve Rogers still a bad guy? Nick Spencer's the one that made Steve Rogers a Nazi. No, Steve Rogers is no longer a Nazi. Thank God. But Nick Spencer was the guy that did that, and now they're giving him Spider-Man. And like, let me say, this is not a bad Spider-Man story. It's really not. It's pretty much the most basic Spider-Man story you could imagine in a number of ways. It's probably the worst Spider-Man story to release on Free Comic Book Day, to be honest. Not because it's like badly told, but it's just, this is not the thing that's gonna like really make someone jump into a Spider-Man book. Especially with a moment like this. I gotta find it real quick. Where Kingpin shows up with the NYPD behind him, and then there's a little note that says this takes place before Daredevil number 601. Why would you do that? on Free Comic Book Day. Why wouldn't you just publish a Spider-Man story that stands on its own just fine? This isn't a Free Comic Book Day special. This is his first issue. And that's just bad form, Marvel. The Avengers publishing part of the first issue there is questionable, but that at least stands on its own a lot more. It's just beginning a story. It's letting you know about some things. Everything that it introduces, it explains. This is just kind of... I don't even know what. This is just not a good way to jump into a story or a character, in my opinion. And then it doesn't help that I'm not excited at all about the idea of Nick Spencer writing Spider-Man after Nick Spencer did a terrible job at the end of the day writing Captain America. So yeah, I'm very not into this. It is kind of, again, the most typical Spider-Man story you could ever write, where he's looking for apartments, some bad guys show up and start causing problems, and then he goes back to looking for apartments with his friend, and he's going to have an apartment with one of his villains. I mean, like, Spider-Man 1, right? It's right out of the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man, where it's like, oh, Peter's got a connection to one of the villains in his personal life. It's just so typical. Just makes me wholly not interested in it, you know? And again, I feel like it's the worst thing to put out for Free Comic Day, but whatever. That, and there's this Guardians of the Galaxy backup that's not even really a backup. Where it's just, this is damned confusing. Because it's just jumping around left and right all over this thing. It's not even really a fully fledged comic. I feel like I'm just seeing a panel from different issues, like, cobbled together to show a bunch of the what's been going on in the Guardians book, and that's not at all the way to get me interested in Guardians in the comics. I'm sorry. I just quit reading this halfway through. I was like, okay, done, over. I don't understand anything more than what I did before. I am, in fact, more confused now. So this is easily the worst book this week. Or this Free Comic Book Day, I hate to say. Not good. The opposite of good, whatever that is. Bad, perhaps. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to something else. This is Invasion, which is part of Chapter House's Captain Canuck series. For those that don't know, there's a Canadian superhero called Captain Canuck, published by Chapter House. And he's got a very comic booky origin where he got his powers from alien technology, yada 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 yada. This is really compelling as shit, and I actually really like this. This was pretty fun. I will say it doesn't make me necessarily want to go read Captain Canuck ongoing comics, but I'm damn tempted to get the backlogs of the trades. This was pretty cool. The plot of this one is that Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, this is the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau at the United Nations talking about Canada's plethora of superheroes, and other world leaders have their own superheroes. Like Donald Trump has this guy who shoots rockets out of his arm, and the Russians have this guy, and the Chinese have the Iron Lotus. So, like, everyone, like, Trudeau's like, I don't want to start a superhero arms race, blah, blah, blah. But Captain Canuck has told us that this alien invasion is coming. This judgment from an alien race is coming, and we need to be prepared for it. And what's really interesting is there's this alien race coming called the Borealis that Captain Canuck got his powers from, and they're not conquerors or maniacs. they judge whether or not a race deserves to continue to exist based on its own history. They judge whether or not they want a race expanding out among the stars and stuff based on its own history. It finds species worthy. And so the Borealis come and they find humanity unworthy because of things like war, chaos, famine, and the way in which people treat each other. That's really interesting. I love this speech from the leader of the Borealis. Earthworlders, behold, we are the Borealis. We come from a far distant planet, but we know you very well, for we have been here before. We have watched you closely. We observe life across the cosmos, letting species develop, take whatever path they choose. We do not interfere until it is time for judgment. The Borealis are caretakers of the universe. We deem whether a planet is worthy of joining us in shaping the cosmos, or whether it must be destroyed. Humanity, your moment of judgment has come. You are blessed with a planet abundant in natural resources, and you have built great cities and cultures. You drain the planet, bleed it dry, and for what? So that the strong may hoard so much while the weak starve. You spend your resources building weapons, bending your creativity to destruction. Why? Because at the slightest discord, you devolve into tribes, warring over color or creed or disposition. Even your religions become nothing but a hypocritical pretext for battle. At best, you fill your days with distraction. At worst, you bend your efforts toward destroying anything different from you. Left to your own devices, you would soon enough look to the stars and turn your greed and bloodlust to other planets. Humanity, we find you unworthy of existence. This is our verdict, and the punishment is annihilation. And so the UN sends the superheroes of all these other nations off to go fight the Borealis, and the Americans just get fucking wrecked instantly. It's pretty funny. The Russians as well, and the Iron Lotus gets just destroyed. So the only heroes left are the Canadian heroes, it seems, as the leader of the Borealis comes to the United Nations and tells the leaders of the world to yield. Donald Trump tries to work out a deal and just gets an axe shoved right next to his face. I would have been fine. I don't think it would have been in poor taste to show his head getting split the fuck open. We could have just made the rest of the book that. But anyway, you get the classic, monuments destroyed kind of thing. I like that this has a more global feel that we don't usually get from superhero comics. Like, a lot of superhero comics are, of course, American, and so when we see the threat happen, it tends to be American things that are attacked directly, as opposed to more global things. Occasionally you'll get, like, the pyramids or other stuff, but it tends to be particularly American. This does, the White House, St. Petersburg, I believe that's the Golden City, which it makes sense that you see all three of those, since those are the nations that the heroes are shown from. So that was pretty cool. Then Captain Canuck starts doing battle with the aliens, and his brother, who also has powers from the Borealis, says you can't fight them directly. We get our powers from them. Obviously, they're going to be immune to us. And Captain Canuck says, fuck that noise. We'll fight till we die, because I'm not going to let them just win. And so that kind of sets us up. And this is a really cool story. Not going to lie, I was damned interested in this. This was fun. It had a pretty neat little commentary. This was pretty enjoyable, and it definitely makes me want to read some Captain Canuck, so I might have to pick up the first volume and trade. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to Disney Princess. Hey, Haley, come here. Get the thingy thing. So, I'm sure people watching are like, oh my god, why did you buy a Disney Princess book? Well, I am not a huge Disney Princess fan, but my wife is a huge fan of Ariel, and so I got it for her. And I also
Where's
got
the
her
camera?
right there, silly.
No, I'm used to you having it up there.
Yeah, so I got this for her, and I also got her this little cardboard Wonder Woman tiara that they were giving away.
I can't put on right.
Yeah, that she can't put on right. So this was really fun. What do you think of this? It was just
It was
a lot
cute.
of.
It's obviously made for kids, but I like the cute little jokes in it.
Yeah, it's got a horizontal orientation, which is kind of interesting, and it's basically just like a lot of comic strips. So, if you got any, young girls around the house, I'm sure they'd love seeing stuff like this. It's a lot of really just ridiculous puns. I gotta see if I can find the one that honestly cracked me up. It's a lot of puns, a lot of it music based, which is.
What about the tuna one?
The tuna
Out
one?
of tuna.
Oh, yeah. Blowfish here. Fluke here. Tuna. Tuna isn't here today, sir. Oh no, we're going to sound terrible. Really, why? Because we're all out of tune. Oh god. So a lot of puns, a lot of silly things. Just a lot of short little strips. I guess that's what the entire book is. I've seen this book at the stores, the Disney Princess line, and I'd wondered what exactly it was going to be, and so it's just little cute newspaper-style comic strips. And I always like when the stores give stuff like this away. This was free, and it's cool. It's just like those Burger King crowns you get, so I saw it, I was like, oh, she'll love it. So, love you, Haley. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yay! So yeah, if you got any little kids around, daughters, little sisters, nieces, nephews, or if you got other boys that like Disney princesses, that's okay too. But yeah, cute, fun, silly little lines. I like the art quite a bit. I was doing my credits for the episode, looking up who the artists are and everything, art and writers, and we got multiple illustrators here. This is where all the credits go. And the art style is pretty consistent, so this could be animated. I could totally see Disney doing an animated series of the Disney princesses in this style, because it's incredibly consistent strip to strip, even though we have multiple artists working on it. The other pun I really liked. Hey Ariel, no. What's a mermaid's favorite note to sing? No! Middle C! That's terrible. Sebastian thought so too. He's really crabbed that one. Oh, please make it stop. So yeah, I could see an animated series just of the different princesses in this style, since it's so consistent, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, if you got anyone that likes the Disney princesses and family, this a book that's definitely worth picking up. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to Star Wars Adventures. This is another much more all-ages, kid-friendly book that I know I'd heard of, but I don't love reading Star Wars month to month, so I've not been picking it up. But this was a cool one-and-done story, which I really appreciated, where it's just, this is great as a free comic book day issue, because as long as you know who Han Solo and Chewbacca are and what their dynamic is together, this totally works on its own just fine. It's a perfect standalone story where they're just on a mission. They get kind of sidetracked with bounty hunters. Chewbacca has to take them out. It's all a ruse to get access to a guy and save him, but they find him annoying, so they don't really treat him right. And then they speed off into hyperspace at the end of the day. Sweet, cool, fun. It's nice, solid. It's something that's not going to go over a kid's head. They give you a preview of the next issue, and I'm sure some kids today are coloring that, so that's pretty cool. That you get the imagery in black and white, so some kids can have some fun coloring it. And it tells you about the book. a lot of these new comic book day, or free comic book day, issues are a little more ad heavy than I would like, but I understand why they have to be. Just cool, just fun stuff. I'm pretty happy with this. This is a nice, solid story that I'm sure kids will enjoy, and that's great. Move along to Doctor Who 2018. Man, I really loved the Doctor Who Titan comics when they came out, and I stuck with them for the longest time, and then they just started getting really bad. And I remember last year I loved their free comic book day special. This year sucked. That's really all it came down to. This year's was really bad. For the most part, it's just an advertisement. It's not really a complete story to anything. You get a conclusion to Gabby Gonzalez's story that involves the 12th Doctor. That was kind of interesting, but since I stopped keeping up with it, I don't know what the hell's going on, and no new reader is going to know what the hell's going on with that. The Armageddon Gambit involves the 7th Doctor, and this is just an ad, like a little prologue to his new miniseries that they're going to be doing. And that's fine. That's nothing wrong with that. It's just not terribly interesting because it doesn't give me much of a feel for the 7th Doctor or how he's going to be written. Get a story with the 11th where he is hungry in the middle of the night and goes to a diner and intimidates some aliens who are about to go to war with each other. But since they're scared of him and he tells them to go sit down and eat ice cream together and work out their differences, while he works on eating some more food and trying to fill a craving. So you just kind of like see in the background as they finish this ice cream together and work out their differences and become friends. That was fine. It was cool. It doesn't make me want to read the book, though, because I doubt that it's written that way. Otherwise, I don't know, not really interested in going back to the Doctor Who comics. Even in trade, I just don't have the confidence in them. I do like this page where we just get this little preview of the idea that we will be getting 13th Doctor comics soon. That's cool. If only they were written by people who really knew what they were doing. Hi, sorry. That's rude, but unfortunately true. Alright, let's go ahead and go on to the last free comic book day special I got, which is The Tick. This was cool. This is another great free comic book day issue. This is how they should be. This gives you 3 stories with the Tick, technically 4. This gives you 3 stories with the Tick that just kind of give you a sense of what Tick comics are like, which is fun. Kind of over the top, ridiculous, silly, cool, fun, crazy action. Spoon! I like this first one the most just because it's the Tick riding into battle on a one-eyed horse, and that's pretty cool. Things like that. Armed with nothing but a sword and his wits, the blue giant brawled his way through endless melee, laughing as axe and broadsword alike broke against his stone-like skin. Neat! That's fun. That's just... The Tick is a very enjoyable character. Magical vines start to wrap him up. Uh-oh. Must break free! Horse! Help me! Trots away. Will shoot. And then he's like, gets out the other side. Egad! Saved by cows again. Just silly craziness. Fights a dragon, punches a dragon. I don't know. Winds up getting transported back to a Renaissance fair. Fun, simple story. The next one's 30 minutes or less, where the Tick stops a pizza guy from being mugged. And so he takes the pizza guy and his pizza and insists that they deliver it in time, and involves breaking through someone's roof to do it with 2 seconds to spare. So that was pretty fun. This is a very short one, just a one-page story joke, more like it, where the Tick says, everything's upside down, but really, Tick, you are only falling to your doom. Cute little joke. Got a kick out of it. And then the final story is called May the Best Man Win, and it's about Rubber Duck, the Mr. Fantastic-esque superhero, getting married, and the Tick's his best man, and he reveals the way in which he got his powers, and the Tick has to stop some baddies, and yada yada. Fun, hilarity ensues, crazy quirkiness. It's just fun. It's just enjoyable. 3 short stories gives you a great sense of the Tick, some pretty cool, dynamic, and neat art with this kind of Looney Tunes, over-the-top style. It's exactly what you want from a Tick comic. It's kind of perfect in that way. Anyway, solid story. Great free comic book day issue. Alright. Final thing I got, which I'm not going to take out of the bag, is this: what if Ghost Rider, Spider-Woman, and Captain Marvel were villains? This is a what-if story. Marvel's published these over the years. This is not a free comic book day special or anything, but they just had one of the shops I went to had a bunch of really poor quality comics marked down to $1 a piece. This is totally worth $1 in my opinion. Given the condition it's in, you can kind of see some of the deteriorating paper. The interior page quality is somehow even worse. The staples are rusted and ripping the book apart from inside, so it's really not even worth opening again. But we get 3 stories here. They're all basically the same premise, where what if their origin was slightly different so that they maintained a villainous bend? What if Johnny Blaze saw his friend make the jump but not die, and then just forever became the Ghost Rider? What if Spider-Woman had killed Nick Fury during her origin instead of sparing him, and maintained relation with Hydra and not knowing who she really was? And what if Captain Marvel had been able to complete his mission and save the Air Force Base and maintained his status as a Kree agent? So they're all basically the same thing. The thing I'm disappointed by is they all just revolve around the origin, and they don't really deal with what I think of when I hear comic book villain, which is to just be a bad guy. Like, what if Ghost Rider was a villain? Cool, yeah, let's just show him fighting someone that's a hero as a villain. Like, how does Spider-Man deal with an evil Ghost Rider? And we kind of get that. We get one of the sons of Satan that has scorned his father's name and is trying to undo his work, and Ghost Rider fights him and loses. But it's a little too connected, and it's just an excuse to give flashbacks to how his origin's different. I don't know, I'm just disappointed by that. It could have been a lot cooler. Same with Spider-Woman. She just kind of goes off and still tries to figure out her true origins. Though I don't know shit about Spider-Woman. I'll just admit that. I don't know a damn thing. Does anyone in the live comments help me out? Is Spider-Woman legit a spider that has been mutated into a person? Is that what she is? Because that's revealed in this story, and I don't know if that's true or not. But it was kind of crazy. And then Captain Marvel is seriously just an issue of him fighting a robot and maintaining his mission. I don't know. I don't know shit. These are 3 characters I don't know much about, and this subversion of them I know even less. This cover is just so much more what I wanted the story to be, though. Oh well, you win some, you lose some. It was worth $1. It was fun. It was cool. It was enjoyable enough. just, you know, dollar comics. It's good when you go to Free Comic Book Day to try to buy something, because for those that don't know, the stores do have to pay for the books, so it's good to buy some of them and or something from them while you're there. Just give them some of that extra business on that day when they got so many people in there. It's a nice thing to do. Okay, that will do it for all the singles that I had picked up from Free Comic Book Day. Now, I promised something else. We'll go ahead and get into that. It's too good. I saw this on Amazon months ago, and y'all know how much I love the Super Sons book. So I saw this on Amazon, and I was so hype. You have no idea how excited I was for this, because it's so cool, and I've seen it in my comic shop the last couple months, and I was like, oh, I want it. It's much more expensive than I should have spent money on, but it's Free Comic Book Day, so I decided to treat myself. So yeah, we got the Super Sons here. We got Damien and John, and the detail here is fantastic. Let me crack it open, and we'll get into this. The details on this are great, and I'm just excited. Oh, it's got tape on it. Un momento. Robert Emmett's like, I thought it was going to be an omnibus or something. No. Can't buy no omnibuy. What's wrong with you? Put this dangerous knife down over there. Oh, come the hell on. Don't you hate boxes? They pack these things so damn crazy tight. I'm just ripping the cardboard, trying to get the cardboard to come out. Like, you have a tab. It's meant to be easily opened on the tab. People are still talking about what Spider-Woman is. I don't even know, man. I don't know shit. Okay. So yeah, we got John and Damien in there. Are they twist-tied in or no? It's so hard to tell. I always feel so nervous getting these things out of these. But yeah, the boys as figures is too cool. Love the capes on the back. Love all the alternate hands and stuff. Robin's got a bow staff. I'm sure this just sounds fantastic. Maybe I should do some ASMR videos. Damien's my favorite Robin, for those that were unaware. And so it's kind of cool to just have a Damien figure finally. Love the hood. Oh, this is great detail on here. It's really, really sweet. Robert Emmett's bragging about stuff he got because his stores were doing sales on bigger trades. Mine, unfortunately, were not. I understand why, though. It happens. What can you do? What can you do? So yeah, the fact that I have Super Sons toys now, I'm really, really happy about. I wanted to get them out of the package so I can make sure of something that seems like just a fantastic level of attention to detail from DC's figure line, and I'm pretty sure it is. Yep, John's taller. That's great. I love that. That is too good. Man, these two are so cool together. I love it. I am a grown man. I am playing with my toys, and you will not judge me. But yeah, that's perfect. I'm gonna have to find a panel from the Super Sons series that I really like, and pose the two of them in it, and put it somewhere up on the shelf, because This is just great. I'm so excited to have these. These are perfect. I was talking to a friend of mine from work a couple weeks back. Tons of points of articulation, too. I was talking to a friend of mine from work a couple weeks back about these two figures. I'm like, you know me, I don't do the whole pop thing, and I try not to spend too much money on figures. Try not to go over $30 or anything like that. And so there's these Super Sons figures, though, and I really, really want them. And he goes, how much are they? And I go, it's both boys for $60. And he goes, well, when we think about it, you're only spending $30 on each figure. I'm like, shut your mouth! Shut your mouth! Don't do that to me! But no, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't resist anymore. I had to get it, and Free Comic Book Day was a pretty good excuse. So yeah, I'm really happy with these. These are really, really cool, really, really fun. And they come with a bunch of accessories, so let's go through those real quick. I did this last year. I got a figure on Free Comic Book Day. Maybe that should become a tradition of some sort. Man, this is in tight. Oh, Robert, you got your omnibus on eBay? I don't like buying comics online. I've had really bad experiences with that. Like Jake Carlson and I are doing an episode of Geeky Gentleman on the Flash, book 4 by Jeff Johns, and I got that online, and it was in really, really poor condition when it arrived, and I'm just like, guys, the book had just been released. How do you get it in bad shape already? So I always have really, really bad luck, either from the distributor directly or from just the person that delivers my mail. The lady has a bad habit of just shoving stuff in our tiny little mail slot and not bothering to work on it or worm it in there or anything. Okay, this is interesting. I've got a base. Just the one. It's kind of cool that it's off the ground. That's great for John, but what about Damien, you know? Maybe I can get some way to have John holding on to Damien. If that works out, that'd be pretty sweet. But let me just set it right over here. Yeah, you can kind of see it in the background there. That'd be pretty sweet, but I'll have to figure that out. Maybe I'll release a video once it's all said and done. Really tiny hands, but you can see Robin's got an alternate hand where he's holding a bunch of batarangs. Those are really cool. Oh, he's got 2, actually. That's pretty sweet. He's holding them in different methods. That's pretty cool. And then John's got alternate hands as well. Robin's got a bunch of alternate hands, open, closed, stuff like that. And a little staff stick things. Yeah, Connor Nielsen's here. Hi, Connor, and he's talking about how Super Sons is one of his favorite ongoing DC titles. Yeah, it's really good, and it sucks that it's ending. I guess the word is to blame Bendis. That it's somehow Bendis' fault because he wants to do something with John, so whatever Bendis is doing better be damned good, because Super Sons is too good to end. But apparently they're still planning to do specials and one-shots every so often with the boys. Just not an ongoing monthly series. So that's a little glimmer of light. Anyway, yeah, I'm pretty happy with these two. These are cool. These did not disappoint whatsoever. Noel Martinez says, have you read DC Nation already? Yes, I know a lot of stores were giving that away in place of a proper DC Free Comic Book Day issue. And so I read that on Wednesday. That came out earlier in the week, and I read that on Wednesday's show if you want to go see it there. I'm a little disappointed by DC and Marvel this year with what they released. Avengers was okay. I said Spider-Man was probably the worst kind of thing you could have released on Free Comic Book Day, and I'm already not excited for the idea of Nick Spencer writing Spider-Man, so I won't be reading that month to month. But yeah, DC didn't release a ton. I saw they had DC Superhero Girls, but I'd already hit my limit at both stores I visited, so I didn't end up getting that. But yeah, they didn't have a ton out for just, general characters to get into, and that's disappointing. So, what can you do? All right, we're almost at the end here, folks. We're almost at the end. Somehow I got through 10 or 8 books, in half the time that I usually spend on an episode. That's pretty funny. But I did want to show off one more thing, so I'm gonna go dark for just a Hi. Yeah, so cosplayers were fun to see. There were a couple others I didn't get a chance to get a picture of or with, but it was still cool to see a bunch of people. Always recommend going out to the shops on Free Comic Book Day. I was telling people at work about it. It was a lot of fun. It was a pretty good time. Noel Martinez, he had Stormtroopers at his shop as well as Han Solo. Yeah, I had some Stormtroopers at mine as well. That was pretty cool. It's fun to see the different people show up. Oh, you couldn't hear me when I was showing off the pictures. Well, that's okay. You saw a couple images. That's all you need to know. I apologize for doing a shit job showing them in the pictures. I was just excited to get a quick selfie with them. The Kylo Ren costume was really, really good. But the camera angle was just terrible from me, so hashtag my bad. Otherwise, it's a pretty good time. Okay, everyone. That's going to do it for this episode of Comic Reviews. I thank you all for watching. I hope you all had a good time. Always remember to support Free Comic Book Day. Donate some money to the Hero Initiative today. That's a good cause in the comics community. I'll probably donate $1 or $2 today. Anyway, that'll do it. Bye.